Hi guys, and welcome to Milky Please. On today's episode we're going to be making super quick and yummy peanut butter cookies. And no stand mixer needed, so let's go ahead and get started. I have a cup and a half of all-purpose flour. I got over here my salt, baking soda, and baking powder. And I'm just going to add that to the flour. Okay. What helps make the cookie really chewy and almost cake-like? Cornstarch. So I'm just going to add a half tablespoon to my flour mixture. This step is optional. If you don't have cornstarch, don't worry about it, but it just gives the cookie such a nice, chewy, cakey texture. Super good. And second step here is also optional, but highly recommended, is cinnamon. I love cinnamon. I probably put cinnamon in everything that I bake. I'm just obsessed with cinnamon. So I'm just going to go ahead and sprinkle just a dash, maybe about 1/4 teaspoon or so, more or less. Give this a little mix. Get everything nice incorporated. This recipe is very easy. We don't need to bust out the hand mixer. No need for it. That looks like it's good to go. So I'm going to set this aside. And we're going to work on our wet ingredients. So I have a stick of butter, half cup. And I slightly melted it in the microwave. I typically melt my butter on the stovetop, but I was feeling a little lazy, so just threw it in the microwave for 30 seconds. Alright, I'm just going to smush this down. Get it nice and ready to be mixed with the sugars. Alright, so that looks good. So in here I have a half cup of brown sugar and a half cup of white sugar on the bottom there. And I'm just going to go ahead and throw it straight into the butter. Super easy. I always do this. I always use a bowl that's way too small. Feel free to use a bigger bowl. So I'm just gonna cream this together until it's nice and smooth. Now, had I used a bigger bowl, I'd be able to incorporate things a little bit easier and better, but that's okay. Bear with me. Alright, it's creaming together really quickly, actually. Nothing like butter and sugar. I can just eat this stuff whole. See how it's getting light in color? It's creamy together. It's exactly what you want. It's a good little workout for the day. So that looks good. So this is our butter and our sugar. And to this, I'm going to drop in just 1 egg. And I had it sitting out for a couple minutes to leave it at room temperature. Or so that it's at room temperature. I'm just going to break that up just a little tiny bit. Get it semi-mixed in. Oh yeah. Alright, and to that I'm going to splash in about a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Who measures vanilla? Nobody. There's no need for it. Just dump it in. Give that a good mix. Vanilla smells so good. Alright, so that's looking good. Our next item that we're going to add here is the peanut butter. You can't have peanut butter cookies without peanut butter. A lot of people will use or recommend using creamy peanut butter, but I love chunky peanut butter, so that's what I always use. So we're going to use about a half cup of chunky, organic peanut butter. I got my measuring cup here just so I can make sure I get the right amount. And you know, if you want, you can use, you know, 3/4 cup of peanut butter. But I think a half cup is perfect. That looks good. Just gonna dump it right in here into the butter and sugar mixture. Alright. Now we're gonna just mix this up. Don't worry, I know the peanut butter seems like a big giant glob, but if you keep mixing, it'll get evenly distributed through the butter and the sugar mixture. Alright, see how it's coming together? See here, it's nice and creamy. Just what we want. Alright, so now we're going to add our peanut butter and sugar and butter mixture to our dry ingredients. And just go ahead and let's just scoop about half into the flour. And now I know you're probably looking at this and going, wait a minute, aren't you supposed to put the flour into the wet mixture first, a little bit at a time? I do it the other way around. Why? Because I can. Alright, so just going to slowly try not to get flour all over the place. Just give it a nice little stir. I know what you're thinking, it looks weird. It's coming together, don't worry. And just slowly work the flour and the peanut butter mixture. Take your time. There's no rush. It's going to be delicious. Making a little bit of a mess, but that's because I like to use small bowls when I make these videos. So it's going to be looking crumbly, and that's okay. It's going to come together and look beautiful in just a second. So I'm going to add the rest of the peanut butter mixture. Make sure you get it all out. This has come together really nicely. If you wanted to, you can add chocolate chips or nuts or anything really, pretzels, anything you want. But I like it just the way it is. Now that that's mixed together, I'm going to go ahead and line my baking sheet with some parchment paper. And I have my oven preheated to 350 degrees. And now we're just going to scoop little dollops of cookie dough onto the baking sheet and get them in the oven, and we'll be eating cookies in no time. I had a cookie scoop and it broke, so we're just going to use 2 spoons. So I typically get about 12 to 14 cookies out of this batch. So, just going to scoop them on there. And this is a pre-cut piece of parchment paper. I find it a little bit more easier and convenient to buy the parchment paper that's already pre-cut. Almost done here. Just working on the last cookie. So now what I like to do is just flatten them down just a tad. Just to help the cooking process. So I got 14 cookies here. Feel free to make them bigger, smaller, whatever size you generally like. So these are going to go in the oven for about 10 to 12 minutes or so. So I set the timer for 10 minutes, and then after the 10 minutes is up, we'll check them and just see where they're at and see if they need to bake a little bit longer, and go from there. Alright, they're ready. Look at these bad boys. Yummy, yum, 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 yum. So I had these baking for exactly 10 minutes. I just took them out of the oven. And I personally like when the middle of the cookie is still a little bit raw. Not completely raw, but still a little bit gooey looking. That just leaves the cookie to be super chewy once they're completely cooled. And that is, to me, the ultimate cookie. So they've been cooling here for about 2 minutes. I can't wait any longer. I got to try it. So I'm going to try this little guy here. And I don't know if you can see, it's starting to crack a little bit because they're still not completely cooled. See how it's breaking apart? Oh, see? If you can see in the middle there how it's a little gooey looking, that's exactly how I like them. And with these cookies, specifically these peanut butter cookies, I like to store them in the fridge. And I let them cool on the counter for about 10 minutes or so, and while they're still a little bit warm, I'll put them in a Ziploc baggie and throw them straight in the fridge. I'm telling you, you'll have the chewiest, delicious, most amazing cookie. Just try it. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and try this. I know I'm weird, I'm eating a cookie with a fork. It's still hot. Milky, please. making a mess. It's so good. Yeah, man. This is a great recipe to make with your kids. It's really easy. You don't need the stand mixer. All you need is some flour, sugar, eggs, butter. Whip it up really quick, throw it in the oven for 10 minutes. Get cookies. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to follow me on Twitter, Pinterest, and Instagram. And stay tuned for next Wednesday's video. Thank you guys. Bye. This is really good.